But I do feel a major shift in my own life, and I'll share a little bit about that. You know, my birthday was December 5th, and I realized that, I start in Thanksgiving, we start celebrating, we get together with family and with friends, and I've always drank alcohol my entire life. It's never been a problem. I'd drink 2 or 3 nights a week. I'd go have a glass of wine with dinner. I noticed in the last year, I play tennis in the morning, that if I just had 1 glass of wine at dinner the night before and I get up at 8 in the morning to play tennis, I felt the difference. I felt the effect. I felt my lack of energy. I felt the impact it had on me. As a younger man, it never bothered me at all. But now as I've matured and gotten older, I realize, I'm not even enjoying it. I do it because it's a habit. It's like, we get together with friends, you got to celebrate, the holidays or my birthday or whatever, you got to have a drink. So I did go out on my birthday with a friend who took me out to a lovely dinner, and I drank then. And then that weekend, I realized, this doesn't benefit me at all. And I think I'm going to just stop drinking, take a break. And so I did, and usually, again, like that this time of year, my birthday, and then people start Christmas parties, and you got to have the spiked eggnog, and then there's Christmas, and then there's family, and then there's New Year's, and usually usually in the past, by New Year's rolls around, I'm like, okay, time out. I don't want any more drinks. I don't want any more alcohol. I don't want any more sweets. I don't want any more cookies. I'm like, I'm done. But this year, I stopped drinking in December 16th, and it's been so easy. There's been like no temptation, no social pressure, nothing. I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And then a couple times when I've had an opportunity to drink, the first thought that pops into my mind, which I think is my soul, is, why do you want to put poison in your body? And I'm like, that's exactly what it is. To me, it's like, it doesn't help me, it doesn't benefit me. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. And then in New Year's, last weekend, I was thinking about my goals and my dreams and things for this year. And I thought, you know what, I think I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to drink alcohol. Now, there might be an occasion if I'm at a wedding and there's a toast, okay, I'll have a glass of champagne. It's not like it's a major issue. It's just, I don't enjoy it. And that's a good enough reason to change it. And it's been really, really interesting because it's been so easy, first of all. And I think if I look back on my life as an adult, I think it's probably the first holiday season that I've been completely sober. I haven't had any alcohol whatsoever. And, it wasn't like, it's just the social norms. Everybody goes to parties and have have 1 or 2 drinks, but it's like, no, I'm going to take a break. And I feel so different. I feel more energy. I feel like my body is responding. It's just being conscious, not going on autopilot. Not automatically saying, it's a Christmas party, I should have the eggnog, or I'm at dinner with friends, they're having wine, I should have, like that kind of automatic knee-jerk response. It's like, no, I'm being conscious and listening to my body and making new choices that are in alignment with what I believe is my empowered future self. And so last year, the year of belonging, I think I've gotten past, as I've taught in these classes, and also realized as I teach, I always listen to what I said because I record it, and then I often will help edit it for my teaching platform, for the courses that I offer people, paid courses. And I'm listening to the material. I'm like, wow, this is really good stuff. I don't remember saying this stuff, because that's what it means to be inspired. It's like my higher self speaking through me, and my ego doesn't always understand everything that's being said, meaning that I don't always remember it. But as I re-listen, I'm like, wow, this has been very, very powerful. So I think what is coming to me right now as I'm talking to you about this is that I've let go of the social obligation, the social conditioning in my consciousness that I have to, in order to belong and fit in with a group of people, I should do the same thing they're doing. If I'm out at a bar watching the Warriors play, basketball, and everyone around me is drinking, I should have a drink. That kind of automatic, without thinking, do I really want one? Do I really enjoy it? And this year I've become more conscious that, I don't enjoy it anymore, so let's stop. It's not a problem. It's not, I'm not in AA and have to, it's not destroying my life, but it's infecting me enough energetically where I notice it in my tennis game. And I'm like, it doesn't do any benefit. So I've chosen to let it go, and I feel so much better. And it's been over 3 weeks now. And like I said, I think it's the very first holiday season as an adult that I didn't have alcohol in my system. Messages is when you become more conscious, Conscious living is where the power lies, because we all know our free will choice, the choices that we make day in and day out, they ultimately craft and carve your life and your lifestyle, but then who you become identified as and who you become an expression of. And so being conscious of your choices is so key in the rebirthing of this year. It's one of the keys that can help unlock the changes that you desire when you're fully conscious and you let go of the conditioning, the ideas, the thoughts, the feelings that have been given to you by other people, by society. It says, oh yes, in order to celebrate, you have to have champagne in your hand or whatever. And to come up with new ways of celebration. And also, to become conscious is to listen to your body. Our bodies are so amazing. I mean, they will adapt to so much abuse. When we look at the American diet and the fast food and the supersizing and the grease and the lack of nutrition, all that stuff that we as Americans, and unfortunately, it's not just Americans now, it's worldwide. Everywhere I travel in the world, it's like, there's always the fast food chains. And there's also really good quality food. But the choices that we make, you are what you eat. The choices that you make are so important. And so this year, 2023, the year of rebirth and renewal, is that I've given a rebirth to my lifestyle and certain patterns of behavior and habits that weren't majorly destructive, but they were having, the less more of a negative impact than I care to want. And there's no benefit whatsoever other than the personal idea or belief that the social structures, in order to fit in and belong, I have to do this, or if I'm around these people. And so it's been really, really interesting. And I just wanted to share that with you. And it's been so easy. That's the thing that amazes me. It's been so easy. There's been no temptation. And whenever the idea or the opportunity or somebody offers me a drink, I'm like, my first thought is, why do I want to put poison in my body? And then I don't. Now again, like if I'm at somebody's wedding and they're doing a cheers, I'm not gonna oh no, give me apple juice. I'll have a glass of champagne and I'll have a couple sips of it. I'll probably be like, oh my God, this is like gasoline fuel, after not having been, my taste buds changing after all the time away from it. And also the key here is 2023, the year of rebirth, is to give birth to new changes. To give birth to new beliefs and ideas and thoughts and feelings from out of the mix of the past, out of the things that you have been in, autopilot, the patterns, the habits, the behaviors. And I like this analogy because it really pretends to play out when it comes to having fun. Pleasure and fun are one of those things in life that most people don't value. They don't feed their soul by allowing themselves to have times of pleasure. And when you can experience pleasure that lifts to enjoyment, now not pleasure that descends into addictive responses. And what's the difference between a pleasure that lifts to enjoyment compared to a pleasure that descends into the chaos of addictive responses? What is the difference? What determines this pleasure? Because let's face it, there's lots of pleasures in the world. Ice cream, and there's watching Netflix, and there's sex. There's all kinds of pleasures in our world. But what allows it to be in alignment with your empowered destiny versus your disempowered, your limited destiny? Is conscious choice. Is conscious choice. Because how many people that I've identified this behavior and activity as being pleasurable, and they just do it out of a knee-jerk, automatic, unconscious response where they're just, oh yeah, every Saturday night we do this. Well, what was fun for me when I was 6 years old was coloring in a coloring book and making sure I didn't get outside the lines. That was fun for me. That challenged me to become more. But now I'm not going to really spend my Saturday nights coloring in a coloring book and see if I can stay in between the lines, because I've grown, I've evolved, matured beyond it. And that's so key and important with fun and pleasure. To give rebirth to a new level of pleasure and fun, to mature it from the child's version to the adolescence version, to the teenager, and to the grown-ups version, so that you can decide, is this still working for me? Is this still bringing me pleasure? And that's another thing that's interesting, because, I used to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, and I used to do that. And then one day I was there and I'm going through the routine on autopilot. I'm like, I don't enjoy this. This isn't fun anymore for me. I'm not, and so I switched it. And I started playing tennis again, which is something I do love, and I don't even feel like I'm exercising, but you use all your muscles in your body when you're playing tennis. And I started doing that 2 to 3 times a week instead of just, grudging along. I go to the gym because I've done it for the last 25 years. And then I belong to the YMCA here in San Francisco, and I'll go do swimming. From time to time I swim. And those are things that bring me joy. But I was in this mindset that, in order, I got to pump iron. I got to pump iron. And it's like, oh my God, this is so boring. But it doesn't mean that I have to abandon my fitness. It just means let me be conscious and explore new ways of working out. Well, let me be conscious and explore new ways of having fun. Because what was fun for you when you were 6 or 16 or 26 or 46 should change and evolve. But our ego doesn't like change. The ego wants to do the same. Oh, we're having fun, aren't we? Well, I don't know. I've done this since I was, a kid, and I'm doing it every year. But have you stopped to say, is this really enjoyable? Or is this just an addictive response of, calling it tradition or whatever? And to be conscious is so important. And that's something very different. I did not speak about that in the previous class on authority and authenticity. And keep in touch. Join my Facebook group. That's the best way to keep in touch, and you can have more of a personal interaction as far as asking questions. May your journey continue to unfold and to help you remember the truth of who you are, a powerful and beautiful, majestic spiritual being. Until next time, I'll be back on here on Wednesday. Take care now. God bless. Looking forward to connecting soon.